Hi Restoration, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm here tonight with my wonderful wife Brooklyn and our little wiener puppy Rose. So Brooklyn and I have been married for a few months now. We got married 2 days after Christmas this past December. And so since we are newlyweds, I thought it would be a fun idea to make Brooklyn do some sort of trust exercise with me. And so it's pretty simple, and how it works is she's going to take this cup and hold it to her forehead. and I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to take this glass of water and pour a little bit in there. And then I'm going to do the same to mine, except I need to see it. And so it's just a little bit of water. What's going to happen is Brooklyn's going to close her eyes and she's going to count to 3. Okay, so close your eyes, count to 3 slowly.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
And so now that she has closed her eyes and counted to 3, you can open your eyes. You're gonna do exactly as I do, okay? Ready? Go. So, if you didn't notice, nothing poured out of her cup and her head's dry. I remember it was last year about this time where RPC we went to a Believe trip in Anderson, Indiana. Believe, if you don't know, is the middle school 6th through 8th grade trip that we go on every April, and we go to Indiana, Anderson University. It's this awesome trip, and we had this magician who called some students up and made them think they were going to pour a bunch of water on their heads, and they didn't. And it was hilarious, and that really got me. I was thinking about that because if all of this stuff wasn't happening right now, we would actually have left for our Believe trip about an hour ago. And so I've just been thinking a lot with Easter and everything, and the one verse that keeps coming to my mind is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. It says, "For we live by faith, not by sight." We live by faith, not by sight. Now, you might have heard that verse before. You might have seen it. It's like one of those nice memory, put on a fancy picture and fancy letters Bible verse that you see just plastered everywhere. We live by faith, not by sight. And one thing that I always think is interesting about that verse is when the rubber meets the road and you actually have to live by faith and not what you see. What does it mean? Like, what are you living by faith in? There's this passage in Hebrews, it's Hebrews chapter 11, where the writer of Hebrews is walking through what it means to have faith. And he starts off by naming all of these great Bible story characters, like the typical Sunday school stories to kids. People that have done great things. Talks about how they put armies to flight, they shut the mouth of lions, they quenched fires, they won mighty battles. And then he kind of moves on, and he says that other people were stoned to death. They were conquered. They were poor their entire lives. They wandered through the desert, but they all had faith that something was awaiting for them better. Faith that no matter what they were going for, whether it was victory or defeat or just a mundane life, no matter what they were going for, there was faith that something better was coming. And I think one of the very hard things about faith is that a lot of times faith can look kind of dumb. I don't know if I can say that. It's too late. I already did. Faith can look kind of dumb. I remember when I was a kid, there was this series of books that I liked, and it was called The City of Ember. And the entire premise of this series of books was that it was the post-apocalyptic world, and there were these cities buried deep underground as kind of safeguards to protect the human race. And in one of these cities, they stayed too long, and they lost the instructions of how to get back up, and eventually the people didn't even know there was an above ground. And there was this group of people in this city that called them, I don't remember what they called themselves, but basically they had faith that the builders who built the city would come back and save them. And they didn't, because the builders had long since been dead, and everyone looked at this group that they were happy and content even though their city was falling apart as foolish, because they were happy because everything was falling apart and they had faith that builders would come back. And a lot of times that's what our faith can look like. It can look kind of foolish because we can't see everything that's going on. Like Brooklyn just dumped a cup of water on her head because she couldn't see the sponge that was underneath. Like it seems foolish to pour a cup of water on your head. And a lot of times that's what our faith seems. It seems foolish. So what is it exactly that our faith rests on? The theme for Restoration Gathers this week, if you haven't picked it up yet, it's living in light of the resurrection. And I think that's the one thing that our faith can rest on, is the crucifixion and the resurrection of Christ. So that we can know, because of the crucifixion, because of the resurrection of Christ, that no matter what we're going through, there's something better for us. Whether we go out and we live an incredible life, we make a lot of money, we solve world problems, we have happy marriages, no matter what happens, and we're doing great, even then, like, Christ has something better in store for us. Whether we go out and live our life and we struggle our whole lives and we're poor and we can't find a job and our families are unhappy, that as we're pursuing Christ, as we're seeing Him revealed, that even then Christ has something better for us. Or if our lives are constantly mundane, we live an average life in an average city, in an average home, with an average family, like even then, like faith means knowing that Christ has something better for us. So thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I have one very important announcement, and it's that today is Chad Group's birthday. So if you haven't told him happy birthday yet, I want you to go post an embarrassing picture up on his wall, send him a glitter bomb, do something crazy. Have a good night, everybody.